Welcome back, everybody. This is the PGA DFS Pick Show. I'm your host, John McKnight. You can find me on socials at JohnCool19, here for Fantasy Sports Insight, talking DraftKings PGA DFS. Obviously, this week is the Masters Tournament, biggest week in golf for the year. I am super excited to get back to Augusta. I love this course, love this event, and excited to chat about what I'm looking at for my PGA DFS lineups this week. Go ahead and jump right in. Obviously, the course is Augusta National Golf Club, played in Augusta, Georgia. I am not going to beat to death all the intricacies of this course. If you're looking for a course preview, there's about 5,000 of them that were posted this week. There are some very, very good ones. So certainly take a look out there if you want to get into the nitty gritty of the course itself. But a basic overview here, it's a long 7,500 yard par 72 with bent grass greens. I'm going to focus more on the key stats that I'm looking at and kind of some of the reasons why. Looking at ball striking, almost always my top stat, but really approach being the number one of those two. So ball striking being your combination of off the tee and approach. More focus on approach this week. Off the tee, these are wide open fairways. You can certainly miss the fairways a little bit and still be okay. But at the same time, they're wide open. You're going to see a huge amount of fairways gained this week for each golfer. So that being said, off the tee, not nearly as important as approach, but I like to look at ball striking as a whole. Par 5 scoring is essential this week. If you look at the past winners, basically all of them over the last 15 years crushed the par 5s on their way to a victory. There are a couple exceptions for a few golfers who are maybe a bit shorter in the more like 10 to 15 years ago range. But looking at just the last few years, your John Rahms absolutely crushing on the par 5s. So essential to be really to be able to make a bunch of birdies and have some maybe even eagle putts on those par 5s this week. I'm also considering drive distance. Looks like with the weather, we could get quite a bit of rain on Thursday. It's going to be windy as well Thursday and Friday. That softens up the course. It is a very long, like I said, 7,500 yards. So drive distance becomes even more important if the course is wet, and we're not going to see that roll out as if it were dry. The distance has proven year in and year out to be an absolutely key factor for being able to win at this event. It's pretty rare you see somebody who is not driving the ball long finish in the top 5 or 10 here at Augusta. I'm also looking at course history. As far as course history goes, there's nothing better than Augusta. As far as kind of the stickiness of the course here. So you see golfers finish in that top 5, top 10 year in and year out at this course. So not nearly as much turnover. It is very rare that somebody that is their first time at Augusta finishes top 10. A couple exceptions to that, Will Zalatoris being one. But really, I am going to, for the most part, ignore the golfers who have not played here at Augusta before. And I'm putting much more importance on the course history than I would on an average week playing PGA DFS. A couple other stats not listed here. I'm including around the greens. This is about the toughest course there is when it comes to gaining strokes around the greens. There is a ton of rollout. The greens are extremely fast, maybe the fastest on tour, and you can expect balls to hit the green and just roll off and be into the first cut, be into the rough a little bit. That is going to happen constantly. You absolutely have to be able to get up and down and make par here at Augusta to have any chance at competing. This isn't the course of who makes the most birdies, but a lot of times it's the course of who makes the fewest mistakes, has the fewest bogeys on the card. They give themselves the best chance to win this week. I'm looking at shots gained on difficult scoring courses, shots gained in windy conditions, since we're expecting that this week. Then if you want to look at proximity, that's kind of a big one for me on this course. Since it's so long and we expect the course to be soft, we're going to see a ton of approach shots coming from that 200 plus yard range. So I'm looking at who is the best with their long irons and factoring that much heavier than I would on an average week. Also just on shots gained on long and hard par 4s. Certainly more importance, again, on those this week than on your average week. So let's go ahead and jump into who my favorite golfers are. Right here, starting at near the top, not Scotty Scheffler, but I'm going to go with Jon Rahm. 11,200. You get a bit of a discount if you're playing him versus playing Scotty Scheffler. He did win this event in 2023. I mentioned the long irons. He is number 2 in my model for proximity on 200 plus yards. If you want to talk form, yeah, he is playing on the LIV Tour now, but he's been top 10 in each of his last 7 events on that LIV Tour. Top 10 in 3 out of the 4 majors last year when he was still on the PGA Tour. Course history is excellent too. He's made the cut all 7 times here. He has finished 27th twice in those 7 years, but all the other 5 finishes were top 10s. That includes his win in 2023. Besides that excellent long irons, he's also top 10 in my model for drive distance and top 10 on par 5 scoring overall. And I also looked at just par 5 scoring here at Augusta. He's top 10 in that as well. So I think Jon Rahm, excellent chance to go back to back and get another green jacket to go with this fancy LIV Golf black jacket in the photo here. Second golfer I'm looking at near the top is Xander Schauffele. I like him a lot at 9,900. He is 14-1 outright to win. As far as his odds to win, that's better odds than Brooks Koepka or Wyndham Clark, both golfers that are priced higher than Xander on DraftKings this week. He's made 8 out of 8 cuts here in 2024. He's top 10 in 6 out of those 8 events and runner-up at the Players. Not many golfers in better form than Xander Schauffele. Obviously, up at the top, Scotty Scheffler is in better form. But outside of that, really, Xander, you can make a case that he is in about the best form of anybody else here this week. He's made 5 out of 6 cuts at Augusta. He was 10th last year, 3rd in 2021, and he did finish runner-up in 2019. Again, great course history for Xander. In the majors over his last 2 years, he did have 1 missed cut, and then the other 7 were all top 20 finishes. Plays very well at the majors. And in my model, he's top 10 on difficult courses, top 10 in windy conditions, par 4 scoring, bogey avoidance on tough courses, putting on bent grass, and still top 10 in that proximity from 200 plus yards. A lot to like about Xander this week. And certainly he is a price discount versus the others over 10K. And for Scotty Scheffler, over 12,000. That's a big price difference drop from him down to Xander Schauffele if you wanted to start your lineup that way, or to try and jam Xander in as your second golfer in a 6-man lineup on DraftKings. Looking now to get you some price relief here, as well as some ownership options. I'm looking at Matthew Fitzpatrick as a great value this week. Probably for me, the best value. He will be absolutely in my cash lineups. I'll fit him into some GPPs also, but he's at 40-1 outright and 7,900 on DraftKings. For the 40-1, that's the same odds to win as Victor Hovland, Patrick Cantlay, Bryson DeChambeau, and Dustin Johnson, all those on DraftKings Sportsbook. But he's more expensive. He's less expensive by up to like $1,000 versus all of those golfers. I didn't even mention Justin Thomas is worse odds to win. Will Zalatoris, Wyndham Clark, all these guys should be priced maybe below Matthew Fitzpatrick, but DraftKings has given us a discount here on Fitzy this week. He did have kind of a rocky start to his 2024, but since then he has come back-to-back top 10s. That was at the Players and the Valero, the last 2 events he played. He's made the cut in all 8 years he's played at this event. And then 2 top 10s he's made the cut in his last 8 years. He did have a missed cut his very first time. I think he might have been an amateur for that. That was like 10 years ago. But last 8 years, he's made the cut. 2 top 10s. That includes last year. And in my model, he's top 20 on tough courses, top 20 windy conditions around the green, bent grass putting, and again, that proximity, 200 plus. He ranks 8th in bogey avoidance on tough courses too. Whenever I think of very difficult courses, I think Matthew Fitzpatrick. He's a golfer that absolutely excels in those conditions. So I like him a ton. Not shown on this slide here is Shane Lowry. I like him a ton too. He's in very good form right now. He's had some success at Augusta, top 25 in each of the last 4 years here at the Masters. Look at Shane Lowry at 8K on DraftKings, another good value option. A couple other guys also not mentioned here. I won't go into much detail, but I really like Siwoo Kim this week, Russell Henley. Taylor Moore is going to be a super cheap option for me as well. And Nick Taylor, I think, will have some success this week also. But now, kind of shifting gears to ownership, obviously, we have to take that into consideration every single week, and especially when we have these tournaments the size that they are for the Masters. There are thousands more entries for the standard DFS contests this week, so you certainly need to pay close attention to ownership as you are locking in your lineups. A couple golfers that I see that I have them ranked much higher than their ownership is showing. All these ownerships are coming from Fantasy National. It is my favorite site to use for stats, and they also put out ownership projections. Starting with Jordan Spieth, he's 9,300 on DraftKings. They're showing ownership at about 12%. That would put him outside the top 15 for ownership this week. I have him inside the top 7 for both odds to win and in my stat model ranking. He's a winner here in 2015, 5 additional top 5 finishes in just 10 years playing on this course. Only 1 missed cut in all of his years playing at Augusta. I like Jordan Spieth certainly to finish top 25 this week. The price, 9,300. He should finish top 25, but I think that gives you a lot of ownership leverage over the other golfers kind of in that range. People are going to want to play Hideki and go up and play guys like Xander. So I think a little bit of that is just Jordan Spieth being left out with all the other good golfers in that price range. One more guy you're not going to see touted very much this week. That is Jason Day. He's at 7,700. Fantasy National shows him at a 4% ownership this week. I think the problem is he's, again, sandwiched between a couple popular options. That is Sahith Theegala and Shane Lowry. But he's got 4 top 10s at the Masters, 3 top 10s this year in 2024. And last year he had a win. He also had a runner-up at the Open. So I think although his game may be not what it was 10 years ago, he certainly can pop here and there. Jason Day as an option that almost nobody else is going to be playing at 7,700 on DraftKings. So those are my favorite plays this week. I appreciate you tuning in, and good luck this week. Enjoy every bit of the Masters. I will be tuned in on the app, on the TV, on the CBS all weekend long. Certainly excited to see how things unfold. Good luck this week.